camera was dead this morning while I was doing some work, so cleaned up a little bit. So I didn't videotape it because how heavy this thing was, and I had my buddy come over, my buddy Nick, and help me out with this. But I got the transfer case adapter on, got the transfer case on. Right up in there, there's a floor support. I already know I'm going to have to trim that. Keep in mind, the motor's still going to come back 2.5 inches, so I'm going to have to trim that floor support to get that high enough. I just had the engine or the transmission crossmember hanging, and it was actually level with here. But like I said, the motor, two problems. You have to reload. You have to readjust the transmission crossmember, cut it, and do something with it anyhow for this to work. With this adapter, and then since I'm putting the motor back even further, I have to relocate it with the giant crossmember, and I can figure out a way to just take care of it real easily. Definitely have to have both drive shafts remade. No big deal. One major problem, the four-wheel drive adapter is missing a piece, a small piece. It's missing the new version of that piece, which is the lockout for the shifter. I was struggling with that thing for about an hour, and then I reread the instructions, and it says use the supplied new lockout adapter, blah blah blah. So there's no place to mount the shifter to, which on this adapter it does. That thing goes in there, and then the gates go there. None of those holes were lining up. Something wasn't working. Reread the instructions. I did not get that piece. I definitely went through that box 100% thorough. Was not in there. I'm not mad at them at all. You know, this slow moving project. So I just messaged them to ask them if they could go ahead and make right on the situation and send me that piece. I'm sure that they will. I put the power steering fluid in that earlier. So what I'm gonna do though is I thought about ways of the frame rails kind of start tapering in a little bit. So if I were to just move it back, you know, instead of the frame rail being here, it's over here now. So that's really not going to work out. So what I did is I measured from the end to here 7 inches, from the end to here 7 inches, made 2 lines on that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the transmission crossmember in half, or 3 pieces, and I'm going to bolt these into the car, and then when everything's settled with the location of the trans, I'll bolt that to the trans, lift it into place, put a couple spot welds on, take it all back out and weld it in. So that's the front, that's the rear. So basically where this piece is cut here is probably going to be mounted back here somewhere, and then I'll add some reinforcement. But this thing is massive. It is hollow, but like it's overkill, so I have no problem doing this mod. So I'm gonna go ahead and get cutting on this and at least get that part done, and that's all I really can do for today. Got a lot of things figured out on it. Got some more parts coming. I might pull the Bentley motor out or the Cummins motor out and make my list. I'm basically making parts list of everything that I need. Oh, I have the oil cooler mounted, so those holes there. So the oil cooler is going there behind the light, right on the bumper. The lines, the fittings go through the bumper, and the fittings mount in there. The oil filter is going to go under the bumper so that it will not be water storage. The heat exchanger is going to mount right above it. And then the guy that I'm friends with who makes some parts for me, he's going to make me, on his CNC, I'm going to design something that covers this and covers this. Basically a grill, but I might put a logo in the front of it. Really nice cutout. It's not going to look homemade. It's going to be a nice professional CNC grill to protect everything from sticks and brush and whatnot. But yeah, so because I have to do it this way because, you know, unlike a car, I don't have all that room under the front bumper, and there's barely any room between the grill and the AC condenser. I was just running out of options. I was trying to mount that the oil cooler underneath the car somewhere, unless I go all the way to the back. When I'm not doing that, it was just becoming a shit show. So basically everything's going to get mounted right here in the back side of the bumper. It's going to be enclosed, encapsulated in, and you won't see anything, but it's all going to be there, and it's all going to be nicely protected. Yeah, it looks good, don't it? Waiting on my low range springs to come in on that. And yeah, let's get them cutting and Yeah, so basically just gonna bolt those right onto the frame, bolt that onto the transmission, and when it's all done, just tack it on up. What's up, everybody? So it's Saturday. It's like the 16th. I don't remember. It's something like that. So here are the brackets back from the CNC. So buddy of mine, Justin, made these for me. These are out of 70-75 aluminum. These are 7/16 14 holes. I probably should have done metric. 7/16 14's an oddball. They're hard to find. I didn't want to do a 1/2 inch. I wanted to have a little bit of wiggle room to move these around, but I didn't want to go 3/8. Hindsight, I probably should have just done like a 13 mil or 12 mil. No big deal. These holes are 5/8, and the reason I did them a little bigger is so I can maneuver the motor a little bit on the pads. That way if it's sitting a little crooked, I have a little bit of wiggle room. That's a 12mm bolt that goes through there. I'm just going through this random bag of bolts that I have. This is some shit that was left over from the Nova. So trying to see if I had some 7/16, but I don't. I have like 1 or 2, but they're long ones. There's a local hardware store that sells that crap. Like, that's a 12 mil there. That's a Nissan, so a little bit more room. The height, so there'll have to be a fender washer underneath of this, but you can see this was designed with height in mind. That way you get these mostly bolted in, a little bit loose, then you have to get in there with a wrench and kind of get it tightened up, or lift the motor back up, get back on, and bolt it down in place. Front one will be no problem, so that'll be the one that sets the place. This one will be a little bit of a pain in the ass tightened down. One of the things I didn't do, and I didn't do it on purpose, is I didn't machine out for this little lump right here, and that goes right there. But I actually was looking at it. I'm just going to drill through where that is, and that way it also gives me a little bit of padding. So the game plan here is old motor mount location, new motor mount location, and that will put the motor back 2.5 inches exactly, but it raises the motor mount up 0.630, so not even 3/4 of an inch. Really not a big deal. So I'm going to try to get some hardware for this and get it all situated and try to figure everything out. How you guys doing? So she has to have surgery on Wednesday. She had a lump in her mouth, like a tumor. Hopefully it's not cancer. She's only 6. And another piece of 70-75 there. So there's my cross member bolted on to the transfer case. And there's the other piece of my cross member, and the other one's right here. So I explained that earlier. So basically, once everything's set in place, I'll get the height right, tack weld that, take it out, add gussets and supports and bracing, and basically just make a new cross member. So there's a motor mount there. One of these motor mounts are friggin' bad, like real bad. I think it's this one. Yeah, this is the one that's all ripped up. So I have a couple spares. This one's a little bit easier to get to. So yeah, like I said, the location of the engine is going back. Really won't affect anything with these AC lines because they're all getting modified anyhow. So if that head goes there, now it goes there. No big deal. Actually, that's not that one. That one would go on the line. Doesn't matter. It's easy shit. Yeah. So now what the game plan is to get the trans jack underneath the trans and the transfer case, because that's on wheels. Well, first of all, yeah, I have to push the motor. I have to push this car back. I got to get this where the front tires are basically on my lift. Then what I can do is jack the motor up with the trans on the trans jack on wheels, and slide the motor back or get it up high enough where I get my adapter brackets in, and go from there. So you can see the size of those motor mount bolts. I want to replace these, but I don't remember what the thread pitch is of them. So the one hardware store has a 7/16. I think they're M12 by 175. I think they're a fine pitch. So I'm gonna be dangerous and pull one of them out. Like, these ones on this side are too high. You can see the heads on them. So I have to make sure I get something with like a low head on it. the head size that I have is, I can go up to 3/8 tall with a washer underneath of it, so should be okay. And I also had to get bolts for the block. I think I'm gonna do ARP bolts for the block. I don't know. I only got 2 holding it on this side. But yeah. So oh, you know what? It's only hand tight. I've been living dangerous over here. Oh, it was hand tight. Now it's tight on me. So I'm gonna pull that out. I'll probably pull out a motor mount bolt if I can. Depends on how many I have on each side. This one has 3 out of 4 in. The other side has 2 out of 4 in. So I might just go down to this local hardware store and just buy everything from them instead of doing ARPs. There's 3 on this one also. These tight or loose. Alright, so this side's easier to get to, so let me pull out some of this hardware. So, the first half of this video, or whatever it is, was probably shot a month ago. So here we are near the end of June. I've been lazy. Just got back from my cabin up in the mountains. What's up, Winston? Spent some time up there. Some updates. Me and my buddy Nick, I had a performance parts store before, and he was like doing sales for me, but we decided to go into business together and open up our own shop again. So KNSpeedfactory.com, that's the performance parts shop. We're only doing parts, we're not doing installs or anything like that, just parts only, but we can get you anything you need. So find me on Facebook or shoot me a message on here, and we can give you can get the contact information or email me through the website, and we'll be able to get you any parts that you might need. And pretty exciting news for that. So this is the transmission cross member, completely finished. Big steel gussets in there, welded. So what I got to do is I just have to really measure, see what the distance was that was removed from this thing. That'll give me my drive shaft measurements. They're internally slipping drive shafts, so they have like a spline and a yoke built into the shaft. They articulate, so I got to find someone to shorten the rear one. That one can be shortened and rebuilt. The front one will have to be remade. I don't think I've never dealt with trying to extend the drive shaft. Only ever had them shortened. So that'll be a thing. Yeah, my garage is a mess right now. So my buddy has the keys to this because I went on vacation and he was working in here a little bit on his Mustang, and he had to move this thing out, and I forgot that he has the keys for it. So sucks. I can't move this out right now. Still got some couple leads on the motors and stuff. Oh, that was my makeshift shifter as well. I had to extend the shifter. I don't know why it's off right now. I thought I had it fully installed. Yeah, I guess I don't. But it tested out, works fine. Everything is good to go on that. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to install this transmission cross member. I'm only going to use like 1 bolt per side right now. I'm going to get all new hardware for it, and I guess I'll get my shifter back on. So that's what we're doing. All right, come on, puppies. It's too hot outside. Come on. Where's your sister? There she is. Why don't you go hang out in the air conditioning with the cat? Yeah, go get some water. Yeah, that's about an hour and a half later. I was messing around with shit. Transmission cross member is in, and so is the shifter. These boots are a pain in the ass. There's like 3 different layers in this thing. There we go. So, got a working shifter for my transfer case mounted to my Turbo 400. So this is the final resting place of the engine. This adapter is not going to work. I have to get a different manifold. It just puts the, I have no room back here to work with anything, so I just got to scrap this idea. What I don't know if I showed these. I'm sorry, I'll go back in my video editing and figure it out. But these are 7075 aluminum, CNC machined. They basically they put the motor back 2.5 inches. So I designed those and sent them off to a CNC shop that I work with locally here and had those made. It's going to be an air to water intercooler setup. So the barrel intercooler, once I fix my fan, basically it's going to be a barrel that's right here in the front or right off the turbo, depending on whatever the manifold situation is. And then the heat exchanger is going to get mounted on top of the oil cooler here. Oil cooler is going here. I'm going to get a second one the same size, put it right here, and that's going to be used as a power steering cooler. Way overkill, but it's more so just so I have a flat plane. And then on top of that is going to mount the air to water heat exchanger. And then on the front here, I'm going to be sealing this in. Same guy who made these for me. I'm going to design a plate with either a logo or some kind of design in it. Something about an 1/8 inch thick in steel. That way we can weld that in and completely protect the center there. I'll probably put the Nissan logo on the front, just to keep it simple. But that way I have airflow and protection for these guys. Unlike a car, I don't have much room to put a air-to-air intercooler behind the bumper. There's no room. Underneath this massive bumper, that's where the oil filter is going to go. It's going to get mounted right about here. I have the adapter and everything already, but the issue is I got to order the oil filter so I know how long it is and how long it needs to thread off and get off before I put it too tight against anything. So before I go ahead and drill that in, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So for the manifold, I got to see what's going to work on these. I've been told that the 6 boost manifolds work as long as you notch the engine mount, and it looks like someone already did that. So maybe that's all I need. But motor's in there, she's perfectly straight. Turbo 400 is in there. The only thing I really got to do to make the transmission work is I need drive shafts. The back one needs to be shortened, the front one needs to be lengthened. I'm gonna climb under here and give you a view. There's my transmission cross member. It had to be cut as shown in the other video. Mounted back, kicked down on a slight angle, gusseted front and rear, plated. This bar here, I don't know if you can see that, this bar here will have to be lowered, I think, because you can see where the flange of the drive shaft, it's just very close. E-brake cable, no modification required. I just have to look at the wiring diagrams to figure out which one of these is the speed sensor. I have 3 sensors mounted on the transfer case. Just going to figure out what they're for and get them working. It's a manual transfer case, so it doesn't really need anything. And the fuel cell should be back shortly. Ooh, okay. Just realized my fuel cell actually mounts this bar here. So I can't lower that down because then I'd be lowering the fuel cell, but I can lower down just the center. So I'll have to just maybe just cut it in half, plate the top of it. I just need to get some clearance out of that. We'll figure that part out. That's not the end of the world. But yeah, here she is, and I'm gonna finally edit a video after over a month, and I apologize for the people who've been waiting. The car's a mess, but I'm gonna order some parts tonight. I need some hardware, I need some bullshit parts. The only 2 big ticket items I have is my intercooler setup and my turbo setup, or my manifold. Once I get that shit figured out, I don't know. I want this thing up and running this summer. This is going to be running this summer. I can't wait to have this thing up and running. When I got it, it ran like poop, and I've only ever been able to drive it like 1 mile. So it'll be nice. Thanks for checking out the channel. I apologize, and let me sell you some parts.